Hello and welcome to Pattern Making with Let Morris. I hope you're doing well. We're back again and we're going to continue with our making the pattern for this wonderful dress which we've started on, but we had to take a break. We're back. We're going to finish off. We did a bit on the front already, so we've going to pick up where we left off, and this is the draft that we did, and we've made the tucks at the neck and we've opened out, if you follow the last video, to get the fullness at the bottom. So now that's what it looks like, and we've added the seam allowance all the way around that section, and we're going to cut one of those and it's right side up again, and all we've got to do now is to cut out that shape, and then we're going to be doing this section here. So we're going to pick up from then. So what I'm going to do right now, before I even start that, I'm going to cut out this shape. So we've got that all done, and then we're going to go on to the next shape. We've put all the balance marks, the notches that we need on to this pattern piece, so it's going to help us as we go along when we come to make it up. So we're going to cut around the neckline, follow the shape, because these are little tucks, they go in and out, but you have to follow the shape that you've got and cut out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the other section of the actual skirt. So what we're doing here now is just to cut out this shape that we have, and then when we've done the other shape, we just put the notches in where we need them. So the notches are to help us to connect or join the pieces together in its right place. So once we've cut out the shape that we've this will be the finish pattern piece for part of the front, and we've got to do the other section of the front. And once we've got that, we've got to make sure we check to make sure all the seams are fitting up exactly at the same place, and if they're not, we've got to make sure that they fit. So as you can see, we've got a balance mark there, we've got one there, we're going to put one there for the armhole, we've got one at the front at the waist there, and we've got one at that side, so they will connect. So if I get hold of this piece that we did originally, the first piece, we know that that's going to set into there like that, machine around there, and then come right to the top and fit like that, because the other piece is going to set into here from this section here, right? So that's the piece we're going to do now. So we've now got those two pieces of the dress, and we can put them one side, and then we can start with the other section. So now this is the other part, the part of your draft. So we're going to separate, we're going to take off this section here, from here to here, and then we're going to slash up and open out. So if I just you can trace that off or you can cut it off. I'm going to cut mine off so that we can see it, and I've kept a notch there. So we're going to put that notch in and make sure that notch is on the other pattern when we come to the end of it. So that's the draft. You do not throw that away. We keep that one side, and you now get a new sheet of paper, and I'm going to draw a line, straight line, so that I can use that line as my grain line. So I'm going to draw a straight line on my paper like that, and once I've got that line, I'm going to find my straight line here, which is that one, and I'm going to place that line onto that line. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put one line along that parallel to that line. I'm going to slash up that line, and another one parallel to that line here, which I've drawn on already, and I'm going to slash up on that line because I want this to open out. to give me my flare. But one thing you must remember, if I go back to my draft and I'll just show that to you, when we've got that, this is your center line, and we place that on the line, and then we move over, we opened out. So whatever you've opened out from your center line to that point, you've got to measure that and find out what that measurement is. Whatever that measurement is, that's from your center line here. This is your center line here at this point. Whatever this is to what you flared out, whatever the measurement is, if you measure like this around, I like to stand my tape measure up around there, it's got to be the same along there, right? So whatever that is, you've got to get it the same measurement along here. So you've got to measure the amount that you open this one, and whatever this is from that center point to this point here that you opened out, you measure that again, and whatever you get in your measurement, you've got to keep it in mind, know what it is, and then you've got to open this piece here, right, the amount that you've got. So for example, if you had from that center point, you open it out to 8 inches, and then from this point to this point, you know that's 8 inches there, and from this point to the end of this point here, because that is that piece that goes to here, this has to open out so that it measures 8 inches. So it's evenly from the center. This is your center front. So whatever that is, if that's 8 inches or 10 inches, from there to there has to be 10 inches. So you've got to remember the amount that you put into there when you open out for this side. So if that is 5 inches, you've got to open this out to another 5 to make it 10. So therefore, the hem of your skirt will be even. So I hope you follow that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place that on there after I've cut up on the lines. So either side of this, my center line, which I've got in there, I'm going to slash up to there, and I'm going to slash on this one like that. So in order for me to open out, I'm going to slash into there a little bit so that it dips over, it folds over a little bit, so I'll get my flare. So I'm going to place that back onto my straight line. So as you see, I don't want this section to get any fullness in it. I want it to fit, you know, nicely over the hip here, but I want it to flare out below the hip out. So I'm going to keep this here. So you sellotape this on, or you put some prick stick to hold that down so that that doesn't move. So once the line is connect up there, we do that. And then what we do is, where we slashed it into here and we slashed up there, we just open out on there. Can you see that? And then we do the same thing on this side. We open out so it's evenly spread along for your fullness, and you're getting the same amount. This is, I'll just bring that over so that you can see. So on your draft, we go back to the draft so you can see it a bit more clearer. So when we've opened that out, don't forget we open out on there, open out like that, that's straight center front there, and we open out whatever the measurement here that we're getting from the center front to there, we've got to get the same measurement across. So if I bring that up to there, that you can see that what we did was we open this one like that, and that's, we've got that much amount, so we need to make it the same as we've got from there to there. So whatever is left, we need to open this piece the same. So you just open up until you get the same amount, so that the flare on the whole of the hem will be even. So this is what we do. That is straight on the straight line, which is your grain, and you've opened that evenly so that it becomes the same fullness across the bottom, that side and this side. So once you've got that and you've checked, you make sure that's even and that's right, you then mark around the shape. You can put your draft away. This is why I say you never throw your draft away until you complete your pattern. So I'm going to put a mark there and one there, one at the bottom here. And don't worry about the bottom shaping where it's at, because all we do is we're going to just make a nice shape. So we put a mark there and we put one here, and then we continue to mark along the top, because that part, that section there is fitted. So now we've got that, we can move these pieces away. Once again, do not throw them away, because that's your draft. You can always go back to your draft and see exactly what you do. So from this point here where you fold it over a little bit, you connect the line, and then from here to here you connect the line again, straight line, and then at the bottom with your curve, or you just curve it along, filling those spaces in so you get a nice curve line along there. So, and then you just get a nice shape back into here with your curve along there. And now you can add your seam allowance and then check that. We're going to check that our side seam matches on there. So we now add a centimetre around here and a centimetre up here. That's your side seam all the way up. And as you can see, this is flaring out, and it's flaring out nicely. And then along here, we're going to add centimetre as well, because this is going to come down to there, and then all the way along here, we're going to get our centimetre seam going down the bottom. And then we're going to arrive at that, and once we've got that, we're just going to check that our side seam are matching up on there. So here we go. So this bit is going to fit onto here like that, right? Exactly. Can you see that? From your notch, which is going to have a notch there, that seam's going to fit there. And then we're going to just check to make sure that the side seams matches. When we do our back, we've got to make sure it matches along here. So that goes to there, and this bit comes in, it's going to fit into here like this onto there, and we should be getting, if we swing that around, we should be getting spot on matching at the side seam. And all we do is add the seam allowance on there, which I'm going to do. So we add 1 centimetre along the bottom, along there. So now we've got those pieces, and this is now your front, and we're going to call that. What you do is never throw your pattern draft away, because you always go back to this. And this is now your side skirt. This is your side skirt front, and we're going to cut 2 of those. No, we're going to cut 1 of those. Cut 1 because it's right side up. Very important that we put on there right side up. So now these are the pieces that we've got for the front. I'm just going to cut that out. So we've got that already all to cut out. So this is, that goes to there. We know that we've got the notch to match it there. And this one, we just come down. Because you notice how we've got the flare on the bottom, and that we just don't stick it on at the sides like that, because you'll never get a good flow or good fullness at the bottom like our sketch. So it's very important that we slash and open out evenly, so that we get a nice swing, nice flute along the side. So now just want to show you quickly. before we go on. This fits into there, this fits onto here like that, and it brings us back to our front that we've got. And then because we've got the swing, that stitch round to there and gives us a nice flute at the bottom for our dress. So whether you have this as a long dress or a short dress, it does work, but a long dress would look even more elegant. So that's the front of your dress. And all we do, we can put those one side. To complete this front, we're just going to add a facing along the, so with another piece of paper, if you've got any spare paper, you just place that on to a new sheet of paper, and we're going to just mark out round down the side a bit, round the armhole like that, and a little way away in the neckline. We don't want too much, just a little way, because we're only going to put about a 2-inch facing on there, or 1.5 inch facing. So once you've got that, you've got your notch there, you put that in, then you move that away because you've got that shape there. And all you do is measure down 2 inches and all the way 2 inches all the way up, and then you just connect the line around the shape, follow the shape along 2 inches, and that becomes your facing, because we're going to face out the armhole. And then we just put a grain line on there to tell us that's the grain line, so that we place that on there correctly. And this is your front facing, and we just write on there front armhole facing. We're going to cut one, no, actually we cut 2 of those, because the other side of the armhole is exactly the same. So we cut 2 plus fuse, so it's nicely firm when we put the facing on to the dress. So you just then cut out the shape. That's your facing for the front, and it's only 2 inches. 2 inches wide facing is plenty. You know, you could do 1.5 inches as well, but 2 inches is a nice amount for your facing for something like this. So once you've got that, you just cut around the shape and you're all ready to go. So wherever you are, I just want to thank you for watching again, and always share, comment, you know, anything that you'd like to know, let us know. And don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget, never throw your drafts away, because you're always going to come back to them. So always, whatever I do, I keep my draft until the end of making my pattern, because you can always go back to your draft to see where you've gone wrong and what you need to do. So drafts are always important. So once you've got that, now we're going to go on to the back. Now, what I wanted to say is, if you want to line this, you don't have to do the facing. You just cut the garment again. You just cut this out again as it is, but instead of doing so flare, we can just come in straighter and straighter, make the lining a bit not so full. But at the moment, we're going to be doing the facing. So now that we've got the back, which we've already pre-marked out from the block, because everything you start from the block. This is the shape that we've got. We've got the length that we want, and we've marked on the design lines that we want. So these are the design lines that we've got on here. We've got them here, and now shaded it in different parts that we're going to be using. So once we've got that all shaded on, we're going to just separate the piece. I'm just going to take this line right up to here so that you can see it, and this one here up to here. The reason why we're doing the whole pattern piece, it's not single, because it's a right side up pattern. If you can see the drawing, it's right side up. That line, this line here doesn't come there. this line starts here and it ends here, so it does make the garment a right side up garment. So, and this is, I'll just draw this line in here. This is where your armhole it comes back into here like this on this side, so back up to the neck point, because it's a cutaway armhole to the neck. So once you've got those marks on, all we do is we're going to separate the bits that's in green, and then we're going to separate the bits that is in blue. So what you can do this two ways. You can trace it off, or you can place another sheet of paper on top like this, and then if you can see through, you just mark it off. But I like to do the tracing off method. So I've got a piece of paper there. I'm going to start with this section here. So I'm going to copy that off. So the lines that I'm going to copy off is along here, down this side of the dart, and along here and down here. So I've got that on the paper. So I'm going to mark just past the hip, along the side, around a little bit around the armhole, and then with my tracing wheel I'm going to just trace. I'm going to trace this section here off. I'm going to trace off the line that I need, which is along here and down this one, all the way down to there. And I'm going to go across this line here. I'm going to also put in my darts, my waistline position on that. So what I'm going to do, with my spike, I'm just going to put a hole there, and then once I've got that, and I put a hole right at the top of my dart there. So once I've got that, I've already pre-marked my grain line. Grain lines are very important. It's parallel to this center back line. So I'm going to put those on. Now I'm going to take that shape away. But just before I take the shape away, I'm going to raise my armhole 1/4 of an inch. And you measure up from the finish point here that you've got, and you're going to take it back into the armhole here. Why am I raising that? Because I like to make my armhole a little bit tighter, so it gives me a nice fit around the armhole. So I just raise that a bit, so it's just shortening the armhole and making it a little bit tighter. So once I've got that, I can move that away, and I'm going to now use my line. I can rub out this line because I've made it 1/4 of an inch higher. So I'm just going to come around my armhole here where it's 1/4 of an inch higher there, and I'm going to just mark on my lines that I've got here and down to here. I'm following the shape down to there, and then I'm going to come back up to here. The reason I'm doing that, because I don't want the dart to be in there, so I've used the dart to be a panel, so I'll still get the shaping in my back. So that's the shape that I have now, the new shape for my pattern. On this side I've put my grain line on, and now all I've got to do is just, I'm going to rub out that first line on the underarm. So this is now my new armhole here, and all I've got to do now is to add my seam allowance around these parts. So it's 1 centimeter along there, centimeter up the sides. So you just follow the shape round that you've got for your side seam, centimeter along there, along the sides and down the sides, centimeter, and then around the armhole section we've just put 1 centimeter as well. So 1 centimeter around there, and then around these parts with your curve, you just make sure you've got a nice curve, not points along these points here. Make sure it's nice and curvy along there. Follow the curve, follow it around a little bit so it's not dead straight, because it's nicer if we get a nice curve around. So we then put our seam allowance on here, which is a centimeter, and follow that round, follow the curve around till we come round to the, follow that around. You put your centimeter all the way down the waist, and then you come back out. That's a straight line here as well for your seam, and you follow that slightly curved round there, along there. So just curve that up, and we'll take that down to there. So that this is now your nice nerve. So you can put, we'll put a notch there, we'll have one here. Actually, we put two notches so that we know that that is the back. That's the back section of our pattern piece. So this is one side of the back, which we've got, which is this side we've just done. So I'm going to write on there, that's your grain line. We're going to write on there side back, and we're going to cut one, and it's right side up. I never write back side, I normally write side back. Sounds better. So that is the side back. So that is that section, and then we just cut out the piece again, and that piece is ready. And then we go on to the next. Side. So once again, we get a new sheet of paper on there. You know, try not to waste paper. And I'm going to do that section now. So if we look at our drawing, we always have our drawing up in front of us so that we can see what we're doing. So we're going to be doing that side now, because we've just done that side. So with our draft, again, that's the draft we've got. We're going to trace off. I like to trace off. So we're going to trace off that side of our garment. So once again, we're going to go along there, down there, down there, down there, and along here. So we're going to mark along this section here. And we're just going to put a notch for the waist. And we're going to come up there a bit. And we're going to come along here. And we're going to go the other side of the dart. Over there, down, and down. And we're going to come across here. And don't forget to put our grain line in, because that is very important, how we lay garment onto the fabric. So once we've got that, we then raise the armhole 1/4 inch like we did on the other side, and we're just going to bring it back into that shape there. So once we've done that, we can take the block away, and then you'll see what we've got. So this is the 1/4 inch that we've raised up here, and I'm going to bring that back into the armhole here. So once we've got that, got to make sure you traced off everything, because I haven't traced off right along the armhole yet. So I need to do that before we move the back. So I'll go back and I trace off there, and we've got it down there. So we've got everything traced off. So it's got to be important that you trace off your everything so that you get the right shape. So you see what I've done? I've come up the 1/4. I'm tightening up the armhole, and now all we do is just connect up the lines that we've got and put grain lines on, and then we're going to come along there, along the bottom and into the waist, and then out, and then back round, follow the curve around that section here, and we follow that round like that. So that is our back. And what we're going to do is we're just going to add our seam allowance on these parts, and we just rub out the underline where we've gone up. So we've gone up, making the armhole a little bit tighter. So now what we've got to do is to add our seam allowance. So we're going to add 1 centimetre at the bottom, and we're going to add 1 centimetre along the side, and just follow the shape around, you know, follow the curve, because your hips curved along there into the waist area, centimetre, and we take it up on that side up to the, you're going to do it up to the underarm centimetre, because that's all we need for seam. We don't need big seams. And then we're just going to put 1 centimetre on the armhole here as well. We can put 1/4 inch as well, but you know, we keep it 1 centimetre as we're doing centimetre along there. Okay, so once we've got that, we then do the same thing on this side. We're going to add our centimetre, just follow the shape round, centimetre, follow the shape all the way down through to the waist, and then all the way down to the bottom, all the way down. Today's not so hot where we are, so we can take it a little bit easy today. We don't have to have the fan going. So now this is the other side back. So this is a side back, and we're going to cut one, and it's right side up again. So that's your other side done. So once we've got that side done, okay, we didn't cut out that shape as we did the other one, but I'll put those on this side for the moment. So that's, you've got your one side done, the other side done, right side up pieces. So the next thing we've got to do is to copy off the blue section. So once again, I'm going to place that on. I'm going to draw a line on first, because I like to put my grain lines on a straight line so that it's there already when we finish. So I'll place that line onto, make sure the line is touching underneath, and then, and you secure it, whether with sellotape or prick stick. Once you secure that, you then mark around the neckline from that point there all the way around to that point. And then what we do is we're going to trace off this section here, along this section here. We're going to come this side of the dart now, all the way down to that point.